This is Tom na Fanogue Wood near Shillelagh in County Wicklow. It used to be part of a vast 10,000 acre oak woodland. It was owned by the same family for centuries, but it was sold off in the mid-1970s and a lot of it was cut down. What remains is this 165 acre gem, and the only reason this remains is because of the fight the locals put in to save it. Tom na Fanogue Wood was once part of the vast Coolattin estate, which covered 1/5 of the county. But by the end of the 1980s, its woodlands had been decimated.
The Coolattin Woods Action Committee have managed to bring their case to the attention of people all over Ireland.
The trees were cut, they were clear felled. You will see on the film to the extent to which they were clear felled.
If it hadn't been for the fact that those who care deeply about these trees spoke out, there would be nothing left of the old woodlands today. Unlike Tom na Fanogue, this part of Coolattin Estate, which is 1,200 acres, was clear-felled in the 1970s and the timber was sold all over the world. Well now, since last year, a private investor has bought this land and he wants to bring it back to its old glory. The new owner, Brian Kingham, a UK businessman with a home in Wicklow, has engaged an Irish commercial forestry company called Veon to carry out the task of rejuvenating the woodland.
It was a great call to get because this type of forestry we don't get to practice, and we're foresters. Like 90% of our work is going to be dealing with commercial Sitka spruce, Douglas fir kind of plantations. So to get someone who has this in mind, it's great to practice it because it's all about the owner's objectives at the end of the day. So for him to kind of show us what he wants, it's very nice to be part of a project like this.
Will this be open to the public? I mean, is it going to be a woodland in Wicklow, very big woodland that the public can walk?
There's too many operations going on at this moment in time, between clearing the rhododendron and felling the conifers, and then we had the storm Ophelia. There's so many trees that are not safe, so at the moment it's not going to be possible to let the public in, but we are, and the owners are in contact with local community groups. So I can see it probably in the future something being done with the public, but at the moment there's just too many operations going on.
Tom O'Dwyer is the forest manager here. He's overseeing the clearing of the undergrowth and the replanting of the wood. We've just come up against some trees and there's a huge net in the middle of it. What's happening here?
What's happening here is it's seed collection, basically. Some of the large oaks here are 100+ years old.
Beautiful, yeah.
And there's a kind of a timeline of about 3 weeks where the seed collection takes place.
So if we go over here, you can see the acorns. I mean, they're very numerous, but
Yeah.
they fall down, and what you're doing is obviously collecting them.
Yeah,
From the point at which you then start planting these, when can you plant them
Well,
in the wood?
these will go nearly directly into a seed bed, and they'll be left there until they're about 50 centimetres tall, and then they'll be plucked from their seed beds and then to be planted back out in Coolattin. But nature would dictate the amount of seed that is collected from the oak trees.
How many acorns does an oak tree produce on average?
Some years you could have 250 kilos of acorns.
So you're talking about thousands of
Thousands,
acorns.
yeah. So
yes.
this year there was 5,000 kilos collected by these nets, which is a good year.
So if we come back in 100 years' time, what will this place look like?
I'd be hoping that some of the oak that's being re-established is obviously going to be looking similar to what we have here around us. A lot of the exotics will be gone. It'll be more of kind of an open space pasture, kind of back to what it used to be, a couple of 100 years ago.
The midges will still be here.
The midges, unfortunately, will still be here. Yeah, and I should have put my woolly hat on, but yeah, we just have to deal with them as well, I suppose.
These trees survived the clear felling of the 70s and 80s because they weren't considered commercially viable as timber. Tom, we can't go by this tree. It is absolutely incredible, this oak. How old is it?
Yeah, this is a champion oak, estimated 200 to 300 years old. There's about 60 cubic metres of timber in this individual tree.
Beautiful tree. And was it easy, was it obvious when you came across it?
No, not at all. We knew it was here somewhere, but we explored the estate when we got here, and there was an awful lot of laurel and rhododendron here, about 20 foot high, and we cleared around it and exposed the tree. But
and it revealed itself.
It's beautiful, yeah. It's a lovely tree.
Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
The planting of oak trees in Coolattin for the first time in many years has begun. In this 20-acre site, over 10,000 saplings have been planted. How old is this oak?
This oak was only planted in April of this year. It's just at the end of its first growing season, I suppose.
And this from an Irish acorn?
There's a mix here at the moment. There's a mix of Dutch Select, which is a very high quality Dutch oak, and there's a mixture of native as well.
And how appropriate is it to be planting Dutch oaks in an Irish woodland?
Yeah, I mean, we do plant a lot. We do plant a lot of, I suppose, different provenance in Ireland, and I suppose it's to do with form as well, and it's to do with the quantities. We don't have the quantities of native oak to carry out a replanting program like this.
Celebrated author and tree expert Thomas Pakenham was a founding member of the Irish Tree Society. It was instrumental in saving Tomnafanogue wood back in the 80s. Today, for the first time since it changed hands, Thomas is back in Coolattin to see what's going on. What is your feeling about the project that's happening here?
Well, I was absolutely delighted when I heard that this benefactor in Wiltshire had managed to buy the whole 1,300 acres or so, and was starting a program of conservation, which in a mere 200 years will restore the forest to what it had been. No, I was over the moon when I heard, and I'm delighted.
The kind of oaks that are planted here, there are some coming from Holland. They're not just Irish.
Yes,
Does it
I'm
matter?
a bit disappointed. I shouldn't criticise because it's such a generous thing what he's doing, but I think it's a pity to plant Dutch oaks. I think we should plant Irish oaks in Coolattin. I think in the tree business you've got to have tremendous patience. After all, a tree's lifetime may be 300 or 400 years, so what's a year to wait? I do believe very much in restoration here. This is a wonderful example of a conservation project, and that they'll collect acorns this very year. This is the year, because we only get these mast years roughly 1 in 5 years, roughly, and this is one of those years. And this morning I was collecting acorns here at Coolattin, which I will plant back in Westmeath.
So anyone watching should be collecting acorns right now?
I think anybody who's interested should collect acorns this year and plant an oak tree in their garden.